What up, thugs? Did you know you have rights? Specifically, the right to remain silent while pod enforcement officers are talking. This is SDWPD, and we're responding to a call about some local piggies that have been eating some very, very sloppy content. So drop that gun, drop the knife, and drop some fucking Benjamins straight into our bank accounts because you are being detained for the next hour and some change. Dave, read them their rights.
Yeah, you have the right to join our Patreon at patreon.com/superdespairworld. You have the right to donate a sinister $6 or more to join our tier where you get to listen to our bonus episodes, which are really good, and we'll give you all sorts of insights on how to beat the rap. We also have a merch store at merch.superdespairworld.com where you have the right to buy some stickers and support the show. And the stickers are really cool. We have a couple people who have bought the illustrious sticker pack so far. Supplies are limited, so get in there now and you won't be disappointed, I promise you. And yeah, I guess our Patreon also has a $2 tip jar if you just want to join the Discord, where you can get in there and chat with us and other like-minded, really cool people. Those are your rights. I'm sticking to it, and now we're gonna slap the cuffs on you, motherfucker, because I know what you did.
Yeah, we all know what you did. Speaking of knowing what people did, I have this thought that goes through my head every time I write like a slightly more mean-spirited intro for this show. I'm just thinking like, you know, there's a few hundred people in our audience. There's I don't know how many people who listen to the show on podcast apps or whatever. Our audience is more than just like my friends and your friends and whatever. And I'm like, is there going to be at least like a non-zero number of people listening right now who are like getting off on me being a little mean to them? And I don't know if I'll ever know, and I don't know if I want to know.
You know what? That's something I think you just let that fly in the wind. You know? Are they? Maybe.
I'm sure they'd like me to fly something in the wind, but yeah. I don't know if I ever told this story on the show, but there was a time where I was just like talking to a random person in like a Discord like voice call room. It was like a big public server. I didn't really know the person or anything, but I was just having like a normal small talk convo where I described part of my lunch as like it was like a grapefruit or something, and I described it as being really big. And this like guy asked me if I could say the words "really big" like again, and I was like, what the why? But in the moment I was just so flabbergasted that I did it, and then there was like an awkward silence for a bit, and I never heard from that person again, and I don't know what they did with that, but it is what it is.
You don't know. You never know. I had a friend who there was a guy on Craigslist when he was in college, and his roommate apparently got the dude came by. He took a pair of his old shoes, went in the bathroom for a few minutes, came out and gave him like $50. And what went on in there, one can only imagine.
I mean,
$50 is $50.
I'm certainly imagining a few things right now.
Yeah,
things
I mean, it's weird that it happened in their bathroom. That kind of sucks. But like, I mean,
listen,
does it matter?
What goes on between a man and another man's shoes is between him and God, if you ask me. But,
yeah, exactly.
I'm already having the Steve Harvey voice in my brain go, "You can't say that on YouTube," and I'm holding back, but
yeah, Steve's with us.
Yeah,
in our hearts at all times.
Yeah, but before we get started, I just want to say, man, I'm so glad that winter is over. The weather is finally warming up here. I was taking my dogs out outdoors in the morning just so they could like piss and shit all over the fucking like driveway instead of like in the house or whatever. Mm-hmm. And as I was walking out past my garage from in the shade, I step into the sun and I just breathe in that fresh, cool rural mountain air for a little bit, and it's like the sun is shining, the birds are singing. For the first time in months, I feel the warmth of day like hitting me in the face. And all I can do is put my dogs down where they belong, and my mind just goes, I really wish I could be recording a podcast about police and crime on the internet right now.
Yeah. That's usually how I think of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To start us off, it's important to say we did kind of cover this topic a long time ago. Specifically, it was an episode we titled Skip This One, because for whatever reason, I think by the end of it, we both just thought like, oh, that wasn't a great session. That wasn't our best work. But like, I haven't listened back to it since, but I've convinced myself like, no, it couldn't have been that bad. I think people should go listen to that one first, maybe, and see if we're wrong. I'm not going to listen to it myself, but we're rehashing some old ground because I don't know, this stuff has been on my mind lately, and I've been a little guilty of watching some of the slot myself, so maybe this will be like an hour long like internet confessional or whatever, just to exhume myself of, I don't even know if I'm using that word correctly, what I've been watching on YouTube.
Yeah. So what have you been watching on YouTube?
I've been watching a lot of things. Specifically, okay, we'll get into this later, but I will say now I'm specifically very guilty of watching a lot of the videos that are like recordings of like police interrogations with like people who've been arrested or whatever, or like police body cam videos. There's a whole range of channels. Some of them are like pretty fucking graphic. And also something else which I will save for closer towards the end, but I thought maybe before we get into that, we could start off with a brief little forward about the ways that we talk about like crime and criminals, both like on the internet and, I don't know, does anything exist off of the internet anymore? I guess it's everywhere.
No.
Like well, I don't know. How do we want to start this?
I would first say off the bat that like when it comes to like those kind of things, the body cam or like interrogation things, they're not necessarily bad. I think it really depends on, and I think this is going to be a main overarching theme with what we're going to talk about today, is it depends on how it's framed. Like I think those channels are good, especially when they're framed as like, do you see how they do this? You see how they try to fuck you over? Don't ever like tell them that, and don't. But like, so there's ones like that, and then there's ones that are like, look at this degenerate fucking loser, criminal, poor, trash person. Look how dumb they are when they get caught. When the officer keeps asking them different questions and they get tripped up and they say the wrong thing, and now like what a fucking dumb bitch. Yeah, like fucking shouldn't you like pity them or just look down upon
yeah
them?
Wow, another video
so
about how
dumb.
Letitia has too many kids and now she's hassling some poor gas station attendant or whatever. It's one that sucks. I don't know. These videos are not good, but also it's kind of funny that you describe, you know, both the good and bad side of these things as if like, oh, these are like two distinct type of channels, where in my experience, no, it's the same channel, and I feel like they hit both of these niches in different videos to capture like a bigger audience across the fucking political spectrum or whatever.
I mean, that's smart. That makes sense.
It's like you could have one video that'll be like, brave police officer saves a kidnapped kid from some sicko's van, and then you'll have like the next video on the channel will be like, black criminal on benefits goes crazy in the neighborhood or something. I don't know. I'm just improvising these titles a little bit, but I've noticed some trends. And more interestingly than the videos themselves, sometimes I make the big mistake. Never do this on the internet, by the way, but I scroll down to the comments section, because sometimes I get it in my head like, man, what does the average person think about what's going on? How do people feel about the thing that I just watched unfold on the screen? And I've come to make a couple like observations, right, about how people feel about these things. And one is I do notice that I think the audience for this kind of content on the internet is like not like overwhelmingly, but I do think it's like a majority kind of like normal, vaguely chuddy, like kind of conservative, but not necessarily like the super online like Groyper sort of people. It's like your dad. It's like the like frat guy in college. It's like your kind of dipshit coworker or whatever. There's a lot of people who watch this stuff, and I feel like, you know, the way they talk about some of these things, and you know, this kind of mirrors the way I see like conservative like politicians or like talking heads in the media or whatever talk about crime is. I feel like a lot of people treat crime, like the existence of crime, as basically like a negative spirit that kind of like exists outside of society but is like always like ready to infiltrate it if we let our guard down. It feels like for some people, you know, the existence of police or like figures of authority is like a necessary evil. I don't know. I don't even think they think it's evil, but I think they think it's like a vital thing that we just need to have exist, because if it didn't exist, this like amorphous, like vaguely bad spiritual force of crime, capital C crime, would like eat away at society and just like ruin everything. And, you know, I think that's bullshit. I know you think that's bullshit, because obviously we can like, we have a what you call like a sociological imagination where like, yeah, if people are poor and living conditions are shitty, they'll do more crime, which doesn't account for like 100% of crime. But like, we can have a convo about this stuff, but I don't think that's how most people see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is perfectly encapsulated in like network TV crime dramas, where it's generally puts forth this idea of like the cops are the good guys and the criminals are the bad guys, but once in a while they'll throw an episode in there where there's a corrupt cop, there's a bad apple, and he's spoiling the whole bunch, or like this criminal seems guilty, but actually maybe they had a reason to do it, and it's like,
turns
wow,
out
look
he's
at this.
one of the good minorities.
Yeah, look at this little nuance here that we throw in here, just to say that like, oh, it's not really trying to put forth any sort of narrative of things aren't so black and white. It's more just like subverting expectations.
The kids call him moist critical. Here's a video of him laughing at an officer of the law going down a slide.
Whoa.
Fucking Ice-T on SVU or whatever.
Yeah. Lock him up.
Did you ever watch SVU or like any of these shows?
Sure. I've seen episodes of this stuff here and there.
I know years ago when I was in college and I still had a Netflix subscription, there was like a month where I just like watched nothing but SVU like every single day, and I think I definitely killed off like a few brain cells permanently.
Oh, they're so dumb.
It's so dumb.
I mean, like I've watched this shit too. I've never been big on like SVU or like NCIS or anything like that. I did watch The Rookie, like pretty much all of it. I don't know if there was a new season since I stopped watching it. I think they like stopped because of COVID or some shit.
I don't know if I'm thinking of NCIS, but I think I watched that one because it had like the cute goth girl that worked in like the forensics lab or something.
Yeah, I think that's that. I'm not sure though. It's I don't know. They all kind of blend together to me. But yeah, I mean, like The Rookie, I watched it because, you know, Nathan Fillion was in it, and it was like a somewhat interesting premise. Like some like 50-year-old dude decides to be a cop and like changes career trajectory. But it's exactly like all the shit that I was talking about. It's like a good guys versus bad guys type of thing, but sometimes it gets mixed up and then they'll like inject this like very ham-fisted kind of like bleeding heart liberal narrative into it sometimes, but it's like it's like a tell and not show. This is how badly these episodes are written. They'll just be like, 23% of single mothers are actually not guilty of the crimes that they're and like they'll just like throw like black crime statistics out there, but in the of just like, did you know black people are more likely to be arrested than white people, so let's not do that. And it's like, oh man, yeah, LAPD is just like filled with just a bunch of good-hearted people, and you know, it's the system that's bringing them down. It's not any of these individual heroes that are depicted on this show. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, California is like the deep blue state, right? So they've got all the woke DEI cops who just let crime happen every day. The LAPD, they don't even do anything. They're just very chill. They're just getting high with the hippies or whatever.
Yeah, they're just hanging out. They're just hanging out, doing the good work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of these shows are pretty terrible, but universally, I feel like, I don't know, I think people, you know, they kind of want a sort of schlocky thing on television. They kind of want to like storylines that are simple and evocative or whatever. Some of my favorite episodes of these are the ones whenever the crime, like the criminal is like a cool like young people thing. Like, oh, this gamer like raped and murdered a woman. His name was like Big Cock Gamer Man 420, and he's like the best shoot 'em up player ever. And then I don't know, the whole episode is just like completely absurd and out of touch, and it's just awful.
It's a TikTok trend. The kids beyond they phone, and it's running through society, and we got to put a stop to this.
Looks like it's time for the tick to stop talking.
And then it cuts to like a 16-year-old in like a interrogation center, and they're like, you know that this is stupid, right? You did a stupid thing. Look, I know. Where's my mom? Shut up. You're fucking dumb bitch.
Yeah,
you did a bad thing by following a trend, you kid. And then they'll verbally abuse you.
And then they'll have like a scene with like the victim or whatever, and it's like this like crying like common looking like white woman or whatever that's like, I just wanted to play video games with everyone else, but then they said no, we hate you because you're a woman, and then they teabagged me in Halo or whatever, and it's, I don't know, it's just the worst.
Yeah, and there's always like the typecast. There's like the sensitive woman, but then there's like the badass woman who don't take no shit, and she knows like every martial art and just will like fight like 7 dudes with knives and guns by herself.
I always like
awesome.
The character that's like the good white boy or whatever, where he's like he's very much got the like beta cuck sort of like, oh, I'm just a timid guy, I'm just with the gamers, but I'm gonna do the right thing and turn them in because I just felt so guilty, but I also didn't do anything about it or whatever. Mm-hmm. I know there's so many fucking archetypes with this shit.
Yeah, and it's all written by like a bunch of people who live in LA who have they actually know nothing about this. Mm-hmm. Other than, you know, like reading like a fucking Newsweek article about it, and they're just like, yeah, I'll write a script about this certain demographic.
As much as the term coastal elites has been thrown around kind of liberally, no pun intended, you know, I do think it's like a real thing, and oh man, it just sometimes it really puts things in perspective when you consider that so much of like mainstream like entertainment media, like shows on TV, are just like written by like fucking like Gen X dipshits.
Yeah, right. In like, where are all of these shows based? It's either like New York, Chicago, LA, or like Miami. So all of these like Midwestern stay-at-home small town boomers who have never left their suburb before, this is where they get their information about about big scary cities from that, and like the Fox News or whatever, and they're just like, you can't go to Chicago. They just run down the street shooting everyone. It's scary.
My brain is truly rotted because the second you said that, I just went back to the Steve Harvey voice. You can't do a show about that crime.
You can't go to where crime is.
I'm imagining now a pitch for like one of these shows that's set in like Miami or something, and it's about a group of these like fucking like Gusano like Cuban immigrants to Florida or whatever, and like they're at a furry convention, but also one of them is a gamer and he does some like horrible crime to like a woman that he played Call of Duty with, and then one of the other Cubans is like, oh, he turns him in, but it turns out, oh, the good guy was also like an illegal immigrant or something. It's like, oh, it's gonna be morally gray television. I don't know. I think this would make a few $1 million if I got in front of like a Hollywood producer.
This shit writes itself, really.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a home run.
What I just said would be absolute dog shit, but also like that would be like the episode that like blows up on social media. I don't know. Do people still watch these things? I have no idea, but I feel like that would have been like a big discourse thing online for at least a few days several years ago.
I don't know. Like, yeah, people do still watch this shit. Apparently, I don't. I don't, but. Somebody does, because they're still going on.
Yeah. To get us focused once again a little bit, I was talking about how a lot of people have this view of crime as kind of like an amorphous like spiritual evil or whatever that'll just like happen if we don't take preventative measures or whatever. And like, don't get me wrong, like it needs to be like said, oh, okay, yeah, some people are just gonna like do crime no matter what because they're like very like mentally ill or just like deeply antisocial, or they just don't give a shit or whatever. But I really don't think that accounts for the vast majority of it. But also a thing I kind of wanted to lay down while we're still early into this episode is when people talk about like capital C crime, they're not always talking necessarily about like strict violations of the law. I feel like when most people talk about the word crime, they have like a more specific thing in mind, something that's more of like a very personal, like moral kind of failing, or like you have personally like aggrieved someone else. And like it could be something very obvious, right? Like, okay, murder is a crime, you shouldn't kill other people. But then it's like, okay, you have other acts you can commit where it's like if you work for an insurance company or something and you make like a bad shitty decision to make more money or whatever, you can take a bunch of completely legal or even sometimes illegal or fraudulent whatever actions that will result in people losing their life. But that's not like the sort of thing that comes to mind when people talk about crime. It's always something like more personal and individual and very small scale, and like something done by like capital letters bad people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like there are exposés on white collar crime. Like, I mean, there's a million like docudramas and shit about Bernie Madoff, but that's just because he's like famous. But it's not as visceral to people as the evil serial murderer or rapist or something like that. That speaks to a whole other demographic of people.
Yeah, and also, like, I'm not gonna say the regular sort of crime is never glamorized either, because we've been glamorizing these things for like as long as human history. You can go back like hundreds of years to fucking Robin Hood, like stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, whatever. I don't actually know the more historical version of that story. I'm sure it's more complicated and nuanced or whatever. But people have like glamorized like the whole like outlaw life for a long time. But at the same time, I think when we talk more about the like big fancy like white collar organized crime, there's often like an element to it where it's like, oh, this is like a sophisticated thing. Like, yeah, these guys are bad, but they're cool because they're also like clever and like they get away with it. I feel like when I talk to a lot of the boomers in my life, not to get too political or whatever, but when I try to get a point across about like, oh, I think Donald Trump fucking sucks. Oh, I think Elon Musk fucking sucks. And I could explain all these like different like super illegal, harmful things they do. And it's just like my mom or like my uncle or like other people I know who are like older and kind of right leaning will be like, yeah, that's bad, but they did get away with it. Almost like it's like an admirable and cool sort of thing. And I think, I don't know, it just bothers me a lot because I feel like, I don't know, we make so many excuses for people when we think their crime is like cool or like, oh, they've gotten one over on the liberal establishment or like the lame normies or they're like some kind of like super genius Superman figure or whatever. But when we talk about people who've done like much less harmful things on like a broad scale, like one murder is not as bad as like a whole lifetime of fucking like vicious financial crimes that destroy people's like lives and families and homes or whatever. I don't know, we just make so many excuses for it when we think the person is cool or like something to look up to, and it's just a big like fucked up double standard that I see.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like the Family Guy meme where it's like terrorist or whatever, and it's like the skin shades thing, but it's more like the skin shades thing comes into it, but it's also like, are they rich?
Holy crap, Lewis! Get a look at the complexion on this South African.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
So like, yeah, crime, rich and white, cool. Oh, what a clever guy. Crime, black and poor. Disgusting. Or what a... Yeah, that's a failing of the legal system that he got away with it.
Yeah, I think you see this a lot with like media that you would think is kind of glamorizing the crime life or whatever. Like you look at something about like Italian crime or whatever, like The Godfather or something. It's like, wow, these guys guys are so sophisticated. They're such gentlemen. They're so cool and honorable, and they just got to do this fucked up business because that's how you get by in a man's world or whatever. And then you go on to Netflix and have you ever watched Narcos? They make so many fucking seasons of Narcos, and it's like there's a little.
I just
bit
watched
of that.
the first one.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that too, because I think in popular culture there's this like trope or archetype of like the honorable but like kind of vicious like Latino guy who's like, oh, I gotta do everything for mi familia or whatever, but like, oh, it's set in South America, so everything's got like the yellow haze filter on the screen, and it's like, oh, we think this is a lesser society or some shit, and it's really fucked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember when I was in high school and the Sopranos was still going on, the amount of like people who didn't really see the point of this, where it's like, no, they're not like cool and admirable people, they're kind of shitty, but like I don't know, they're just like, yeah, when it's like an Italian organized mob, it's like that shit is cool, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, these high school kids probably would have thought any type of crime is cool just because, like, they grew up in the suburbs. But
it's like the stereotype of the person online who sees like the Joker or like Tyler Durden or like Walter White, and it's like, wow, he's just like me for real.
Yeah, I'm Lucky Luciano. Gabagool the tutti capia.
All right, careful. I don't want to have to subtitle this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. People have this weird fucked up view of about what crime means, and I see a lot of this spill over like onto the internet as well when we watch these sort of videos where I remember distinctly. There's a police body cam video that I watched once where they were like in this guy's apartment. He had like a domestic thing going on with his girlfriend or whatever. It seemed like he was gonna like kill her or something, and he had like guns with him or whatever. He was very clearly like completely done and ready to just like commit like suicide by cop or whatever. The whole thing is like pretty frightening to watch, but also like the guy was like also like a veteran, like a former Marine or soldier or something like that. And in spite of, you know, this guy's like fucked up and dangerous and whatever, and I think he did end up getting like shot on his balcony or something near the end because he like reached for a rifle or something. Because of the way the circumstances, right? I went down to the comments and everybody was like, wow, I feel really bad for this guy. He went through so much. Tough mental break. That bitch shouldn't have pushed him to the edge or whatever. Oh, this guy's country failed him, blah, 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 or whatever. And I'm like, wow, everybody's like weirdly sympathetic to this guy. And I felt like, is there something wrong with me? Because like I did not get that from the video at all. And it reminded me of there was another video I saw a while back. I think I linked it to you. I don't know if we ever talked about it. It was something like it was like a video essay where this woman did like a categorization of all the different types of like rage bait threads on Reddit, and it so clearly reminded me of all these threads like am I the asshole? My girlfriend did some dumb bitch shit and I just had a normal composed reaction to it, and it's like 5,000 updates to the left or something.
Right. I also would have done that, but I mean, you can see that type of shit on Reddit, and it's really easy to do that on Reddit because the Redditor, like the people who interact with Reddit, it's a very simple demographic. It's a bunch of like pseudo intellectual, up their own ass. They think they're smarter than everyone else because they got like good grades in high school. They all live in the suburbs. Most of them have like bullshit email jobs, and their lives are pretty boring, which is why they spend all their time on Reddit. So it's really easy to either do that, like, hey, I did a common sense thing. What do you think about this, Reddit? And they're just like, yes, that's correct. Good job. Or you can just put in you can also show the opposite of like somebody some minority having a mental breakdown at a Taco Bell in a big city, and then they're just like, crazy much.
There are entire subreddits about this. We should probably do an episode on. Are you familiar with r/public freakout?
Oh yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I always feel gross whenever I see something from that subreddit. It's just
it's just
vile,
people,
nasty place.
Just people bullying mentally ill people. That's really what it comes down to.
That and a whole shit ton of racism. It's very much they're all like this. You know what I mean? It's like I don't feel right about some of these commenters or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of it is like very like white suburban liberal like couched racism, where it's just like, well, they're not all like this, but just like I see this all the time living in Chicago, and it's like they live like an hour and 25 minutes away from Chicago, but they're like, I see this every day in Chicago. Hey, Chicago resident here, just chiming in with the facts.
You're forgetting the classic, hey, black man here. I find this boy's behavior reprehensible.
yeah, exactly. But they forgot to log out of their other account. That's just like, as a white man,
they'll open a comment with like, hi, black man here or whatever, and then you check their post history and it's like nothing but r/League of Legends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't actually know if that's like I don't know, is League of Legends a very white people thing? I feel like it probably is, but I'm just kind of pulling this out of my ass.
Well, it's a very Asian people thing, really.
True. That is
demographics wise.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Not saying anything. That's just look, that's where the game's popular, okay?
Yeah, that's true. I'm not. Yeah, it's not a judgment call. The game does suck, though.
Yeah,
So.
don't play League, guys. I let's move on. I feel like the more I explain this joke, the more it feels like I'm dog whistling something that I'm not.
Yeah, Peter Griffin explains the joke.
Hey everybody,
/
Peter
Reddit.
Griffin here.
Hey Lois.
This is a bit of a tangent, but I'm all over the place today. I don't even like Family Guy, but for some reason I've just had this like audio tick, like holy crap, Lois, and then followed by something else. And I've just been like repeating this to myself like every few minutes for the last several days. I don't know why I can't get my mind off of it. Something about it's just, I don't know. It's sticking with me.
Yeah, I don't know. Family Guy's not great, but it is like, it is great, like meme fodder, kind of like. I don't know, kind of like Fortnite, just because it's like popular, but it's not like really bad, but it's not great either. It's yeah, I don't know, it works for that.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are not great, let's talk a little bit about true crime podcasts. So it's been many years since I ever fucked with these, but I have to admit this is part of my ongoing confession. I used to watch quite a few different true crime related podcasts. I think the one I watched a lot of, it was called like Sword and Scale or something, which is a very pretentious title. And like I stopped watching that one eventually. I think there was some drama with the host or whatever. It turned out he was like a really big chud or something like that. And I don't know. There was some big kerfuffle.
Shocker.
Yeah, that's shocker, I know. And there was another one which I tried to get into, but I made it like 2 episodes in or something. And I was just like, this is the most vapid, terrible shit I've ever listened to in my life. Like even as far as like podcasts are a pretty dog shit medium, but I thought this one was terrible. Did I ever talk to you about the show? It's called My Favorite Murder.
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds familiar. If not you, then somebody else.
Yeah, the show is like the show is like 3-4 hours long, if I remember right. It's a very long kind of podcast where they take a lot of big fucking like ad reads from sponsors or something like that. Millions of people listen to this show. It's hosted by these like 2 very very like annoying like yas queen sort of like basic white women or whatever. I don't know if they're white. They're very white coded regardless. But
sure.
The whole thing is like you will tune into an episode and it'll be like, oh, the first entire 40 minutes of this like 3-hour block is just them talking about some like vapid like celebrity shit or like girl gossip or whatever. It doesn't even have anything to do with true crime or like the topic of the episode. And then they'll do like a big fucking like ad read for some like perfume brand or something. And then they'll just like with the exact same like weirdly chipper like upbeat tone just start talking about like some brutal fucking crime committed to like a poor family in like the 90s or something. And it's just like this, I don't know, the whole thing makes me feel very gross. It feels like a very like unholy marriage between like entertainment and like life destroying like atrocities or something. And I just don't know how people listen to it. I feel like, I don't know, it feels like something is spiritually wrong with this content.
I mean, we keep coming back to this, but I will say it again, is there's a certain demographic of people that are attracted to this shit. And it's people who don't really have that much like really, you know, like strife in their life, like really like tangible fucking I'm like in trouble, like I have
it's
really
people
hard
for
time.
whom these crimes are just like an abstract thought that they can daydream about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a draw to like, you know, strife in people's lives. And when your life is too comfortable and boring, you have to fill in the gaps somehow. And with some people, it's like inventing conspiracy theories about the Democrats eating babies or whatever. And with some people, it's like this true crime shit where it's like you have to be vigilant because evil lurks around every corner. And it's all the same shit where it's like I have to invent some sort of boogeyman that is like very direct like a very direct kind of like symbol of evil towards me, because otherwise then I have to really start thinking about why, despite the fact that like I'm pretty comfortable in life, that I feel kind of like fucked up and like and weird all the time.
And I will add, you know, everybody feels a little bit fucked up when weird nowadays. The entire world feels a bit fucked up and weird, and some people will turn that feeling towards this like vague distrust of like modernity or like woke DEI stuff, which is like mostly guys doing that. But a lot of girls, a lot of women will turn that towards like, there's crime around every corner. I need to protect myself. I need to buy all these products. I need to have like a fucking like baton and like bear mace and all this other shit on me. I need to get like 7 fucking electronic locks for my doors every time my boyfriend leaves the house. And we made fun of this in the original episode about this. But yeah, there's also a very like fucked up like commodified element to this stuff where people are making big money off of these feelings and insecurities that people have.
Oh, for sure. And we talked about this in other episodes too, and I don't remember in what context, but like there's definitely a huge amount of people, especially on TikTok, that are just like that are just doing this like fake bullshit of just like, if you have a zip tie it around your I think this might have been in the origin of the Sinister Six.
I think so, because we were talking about like fucked up like armored cars that like suburban like mom influencers would get.
But yeah, I mean, I saw this, the one that sticks in my mind is like, if somebody ties a zip tie around your door handle, get out of there now, because they're marking you for human trafficking. And then like you go in the comments and it's like the most like absolutely schizo shit, just like, yeah, there's somebody hiding under your car, and then they'll like slash your Achilles with a knife and then drag you under there, and another person comes in a van and they throw you in there, and then they like drive you out somewhere.
Yeah, these criminal traffickers are basically like fucking like Solid Snake from Metal Gear, just hiding under the car for like 3 hours waiting for you to come by.
Yeah. I saw another one which I may have referenced before too. I'm gonna just stop saying this, because like if anybody that is so down on the episodes that they can that they're like, this was already referenced in episode 32.
We're 40 minutes into it. Those people have given up by now. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I love you for that. But anyways, yeah, it was like just some like obviously fake. Somebody like put like a $20 bill on the street with some like I don't know, fucking OxyClean on it, and they're just like, don't pick up money on the ground because they put fentanyl in it, and when you touch it you just like pass out, and then question mark, like what do they do afterwards? And it's a mystery podcast / murder rape, my favorite genre of thing. And it's like, nobody's fucking doing that. Number one, this really proves that these are the type of people who believe all of that bullshit fucking scumbag cop narrative that like, oh, they just sprayed fentanyl all over the place, and that's why I am overdosing on fentanyl, because I touched it too much. And then like there's been like a bunch of like scientists and shit that are just like, no, you can't like absorb fentanyl through like that much just by like accidentally touching something that was like that had it on there. It's not really how it works.
Yeah, I feel like when I watched TV like as a kid and like a teenager or something, I guess more as a kid, there were a lot of like tropes or like things I saw on TV that, because I saw them so much on TV, I was led to believe that they were going to be a lot more common than they actually are. Like, do you remember all the like weird PSAs or whatever about like fucking quicksand? Oh, if you get stuck in quicksand, oh, you don't do this or whatever. And I'm like, I've never seen quicksand anywhere in my fucking life, but I feel like I always used to hear about it on TV. And
I'm pretty sure quicksand only exists in like very, very specific like ecosystems.
I've definitely seen some quicksand in like Japanese porn videos, but that's probably the only place, and I think those girls were just fine. But
Yeah.
why did I admit that? Anyway, the thing is, I brought this up in the first place because the way people talk about fentanyl, it kind of reminds me of another thing I used to see a lot on TV, which is chloroform, both in like cartoons or like movies. The whole thing about like, oh, I'll just put some chloroform on this cloth and hold it up to your mouth, and then you're gonna be like out cold in 2 seconds, and like. That's not how it fucking works. Why did we let TV and media convince us of this for so many years?
Yeah, I think somebody needs to breathe that in like consistently for like quite a while.
Yeah,
to pass
it's
out.
yeah. I mean,
and then it's like, and then they're at the point where it's like that's like severe brain damage. It's not like it's just like the same thing of like when the noble hero goes and like knocks out a bunch of bad guys. He doesn't kill anybody. He just like punches them in the head or in like the shoulder a bunch of times, and then they like go to sleep peacefully for like a very convenient amount of time. And it's like if you like knock somebody out cold to the point where they're passed out for more than a few seconds, they're like probably gonna die. Like they're like brain damaged. Like they need like immediate medical help.
It turns out your brain needs like blood and oxygen to work, and bad things happen when it doesn't have those things.
Yeah, but it's just like a very convenient like narrative where it's just like, oh, he's not like a murderer. He's just like disabling these people temporarily with cool karate moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Batman doesn't like, kill people, except I don't know. I don't know if you've ever played any of them, but I've seen some of the fucking like Batman Arkham Asylum games or whatever, where it's like, oh yeah, Batman doesn't kill people, but like you get into like close quarters combat and like, oh, you can break like 20 of a guy's bones and then like knock him out and throw him across the room. But don't worry, it was non-lethal damage. Yeah.
He's fine because he doesn't use guns, so it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a very noble guy who just goes around beating the ever-loving shit out of people with a bunch of gadgets. But it's cool because he doesn't use a gun, so it's like it's nice. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to move, before we move on from podcasts, I brought this up because one of the things I hated most about My Favorite Murder, and shout out to a friend of mine, because somebody I was talking to recently brought up this point, and it's like kind of a brilliant encapsulation of why I hate this shit. I'm always reluctant to bring up like internet lefty YouTuber bullshit streamer, those fucking assholes. We're never doing a full episode about that again. But one of the things that my friend observed about these types of people, and why at least in this case my friend stopped watching that content, was because you'll see somebody go from talking about like war crimes in Palestine and Gaza or whatever to like, oh, here's a fucked up thing that the Senate did today, and then they'll just move on to talking about like here's all the fucked up people that Destiny had sex with this week, or oh, look at this fucking person who doesn't matter get owned on the internet. And it's like, the thing that really bothers me about all those things is like somebody will talk about all those topics in a span of like 3 hours, and they'll have like the exact same tone of like extremely online kind of like aggrieved bemusement or whatever. And it's like, I think some of these topics deserve a little more respect, a little more like caution and like thought put into them or whatever. And that translates perfectly to like what I hate about these podcasts, right? Because, you know, in the case of like My Favorite Murder, and I do think that's probably the worst fucking podcast, the worst offender of this stuff, it's like the entire show transitions from talking about just like inane, like completely like normie pilled fucking like basic white girl stuff to like the most horrific crimes and brutal acts ever committed against other people that you've ever fucking heard of in your life. But like the entire time it's just like the exact same tone for the entire thing, and it just feels like, I don't know, maybe this sounds like a little pearl clutching to me. It just feels like weirdly inappropriate and like disrespectful, and like I just hate this stuff.
No, I mean, no, that's I agree with you, and that's fair. I've totally noticed this shit too, and it's like, it really belies the fact that this isn't some sort of like really like passionate thing that they care about. It's just content for them. It's just like shit to talk about, and you know, like it just fills up time. Like, that's really all it is. And are they interested in this in a sense? Yeah, but like, should you
I've
talk
seen
about,
how much
like,
money they make, so I'm sure they're interested in at least one way.
yeah, for sure. And it's like, I mean, yeah.
If I can make 5 or 6 figures a month talking about some shit I don't care about into a microphone like a few times a week, I'm sure I could find a way to be very interested in it very quickly. But I don't know. Like I said, a lot of people do have like a natural fascination with these things. I think it's completely normal for people to be fascinated by like, oh, why would somebody kill another person? Like, this is not a normal thing that most people do. Most people will go their entire lives without ever like even like seriously harming another human being, never mind killing them. So like, I understand the morbid fascination some people have with it, and like, I'm not judging anybody for having that feeling. I think it's completely normal. Most of my like moral condemnation here comes down to like the people making this stuff and profiting off of it to begin with.
So I like a week or so ago, I was hanging out with a friend, and I came home, and I was somewhat tipsy, and I just go and watch some fucking bullshit, and I pull up HBO Max, and for some reason, there was a documentary on Luigi Mangione.
I've heard about this.
So I might have talked about this in our DMs or the Discord or whatever, but I only threw it on because it was like 40 minutes, and I was like, I don't want to put on a movie because I'm gonna get fucking couch. Like, I want to go to bed like soon-ish. So this is gonna be fine. And it was like one of the most like annoying and frustrating things I've ever watched, because it was like it was so fucking lame, just kind of like the entire narrative there. And I really like expected it to be kind of this like liberal, like Law and Order type of framing. But like the people that they picked to be the, you know, the like interviewed people on there were like, it's just the funniest fucking crew. And like, they try to make it kind of like both sides. Like, one of the people they had on there was like a former health insurance executive who's just like, yeah, I'm not condoning anything, but like, this dude was like a piece of shit.
Yeah, a very like disingenuous neutrality or whatever. Yeah, which is something I hate about Netflix docs.
yeah, and well, this is HBO, by the way, just to be right, fair. Well, it's even worse.
Difference.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
No, this isn't on Glubo. This is on Zuzu. Okay, get it right.
Yeah, they have more journalistic integrity, except they don't. So like, they had, oh man, like, so they had like that guy, and then I think the only other like pro Luigi kind of thing was like some woman who like got denied for a health claim, and it was kind of just like, I was denied for a health claim, and I was very sad, but then like, my doctor fought for me, and eventually I got the treatment. And then I was like, but I was pissed. I was still pissed off. And then, so the rest of them were like, one of them was like some fucking shit rag journalist, who was like, he contacted me, but I can't believe he did this. And I said, whatever. And then like the other one was like the CEO's like fucking aunt or some shit who was like, it was so funny how they framed this. It's like they're showing like pictures of him as like a kid, and they were like, he was also a valedictorian, and he was a bright young man who could have done so much good for the world. It's like the dude is like, I don't even know how old he was, probably fucking my age, and he's like a fucking scum of the earth, like CEO fucking piece of shit. And it's like, what good would he have done for the world? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then the other two, the ones that really, like, obviously I don't expect somebody's family to be like, yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit. But the ones that really stuck with me was like, one of them was like, it was some sort of like crime journalist, just the typical white woman. She was doing this like, she was doing this like Steve Harvey kind of like, can you believe what he wrote in his and people are and women were writing him love
the
letters.
Fucking aggrieved. Am I thinking of the right person? Is this like a fucking like Nancy Grace sort of thing? Is Nancy Grace the awful like interviewer journalist person who like allegedly drove some people to suicide or whatever?
I'm not sure.
There are a few like Nancys that exist in my head, and I get them mixed up, but like none of them are nice people. Like there's Nancy Grace, and then there's Nancy Mace, who is like the senator or some shit.
She was a nasty bean-eating bitch.
Who said the words that only I'm allowed to say, and that wasn't cool. But I don't know. So we gotta find out what's going on with these Nancys. We gotta figure out what the hell is going on.
But no, I forget her name, and I don't fucking care either. She looks like J.K. Rowling, and was just like doing this like pearl clutching shit the whole time. And then they had this other dude who was like a crime podcaster, and he was just this typical like silver-haired, skinny, just like fucking like cock-looking motherfucker. Just god. And he was even more just like outraged because I guess like people were calling into his show and just being like, yeah, fuck that dude. Like he had what's coming, and he was just like, but that's not allowed. That's against the rules. I can't believe this young man would do this because he knows it's illegal and it's obviously wrong. You can't do that. It's bad.
You can't do that in New York City. I'm sorry, guys. You guys are gonna have to live with the Steve Harvey jokes. I'm not gonna stop thinking it's funny for a while.
Yeah. But oh god. It's just fuck these people, man.
Yeah.
Fuck these people. And it like I mean the reason I bring this up, other than to just vent about how much they're fucking trash, is just like this is really how they think about it. Is they love this because it's just like it's their true to life good versus bad, they get to just push this very simple narrative of like, when you break the law, you're bad, and when you don't, you're good, I guess, sort of.
Yeah, I actually watched the Mangione documentary as well, and I gotta say the most frustrating part of it, in my opinion, was when they tried to do the disingenuous like both sides thing, and they interviewed this guy who introduced himself as like a Reddit moderator for r/gay GAY gamers, like for Revolution, and he had like a Nintendo merch store like Luigi hat, and he described Mangione as being based and Bolshevik pilled. I thought that was really fucked up to include in the documentary.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though? I feel like, I don't know, this like I made that up, but this is not like beneath them to do.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know. This stuff is fucked up. I don't think I have anything else to say about podcasts. I think we've already talked a little bit about the body cam videos. I will say a lot of them do kind of like try to hit both sides of the political aisle, where they'll have like a few videos that are very clearly like, oh, the cops saved the day, oh, they're the good guys or something, and then like maybe every like 3 or 4 videos they'll do a like off-duty police officer murders his entire family or something. So like, I don't know, I guess that's the meta if you run one of these channels. But a little observation of mine is I don't know if it's just because like this is what gets clicks or something, or if it's like a legal thing, but these videos are like, this is all like a very like America centric like discourse here, and I feel like is it just because like in America you can just like pay police departments to get like footage of like body cam videos or like court proceedings or something? Like is that just like illegal in other countries? I have no idea, but I feel like it should be.
Well, I think in some states there are mandates where like all of this shit is kind of like public property. Like you can request it. That's one of the reasons that like I know the whole like Lay Epic Chungus fucking Reddit meme of like Florida man.
I was
like,
just about to bring up Florida man.
Florida's fucked up for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons you hear about like all the crime in Florida is because they're like mandated to report everything publicly. So you're gonna see a lot more crazy shit if you're really combing through these archives of every like publicly like released arrest or event.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people like doom about the state of the world, where it's like, are things really that much worse now than in the rest of history, or do we just have like a fucking 24/7 media system that exposes us to everything going on at all times?
Well, 100%. In like if you actually look at the data, and we've seen this with like, you know, our parents saying like, you used to be able to play outside and now you can't do that anymore, and you can't go trick-or-treating because there's fucking pedophiles and rapists and murderers out there. I mean, statistically, it was way less safe in the fucking 70s than it is now. The difference is there weren't like Dateline NBC wasn't talking about like some like little innocent white girl that got fucking abducted and tortured or some shit, whereas like, you know, our parents' generation were just fed this fucking garbage on the evening news every single night. And why is that? Was it happening more? No, it's the same reason that like all these true crime podcasts are so popular, because it's fucking provocative, and it gets eyes on it. That's it. They know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, I want to say I've been very critical and making a lot of jokes aimed towards white women this episode. And don't get me wrong, you know, there are a lot of like white women who will like exploit their gender role or like presentation in society to like fuck other people over. Like there's an entire history of this in like the United States, where like any white woman could say like, oh, this black guy did some horrible thing, and just get him lynched or whatever. You know, that's
oh yeah,
baked into the history of the US, and it still goes on to this day. And now, like, I mean, a lot of people still get like absolutely fucked up over it, but that's where the whole like idea of a Karen came from, right? It's like, oh, look at barbecue Becky, just upset that our neighbors are having a good old cookout or something like that, which is, it's fine. I think it's great to make fun of them for it. But I also, you know, it occurs to me talking about this, right? It's not always a case of like, oh, a white woman is like doing something on her own very maliciously or whatever. There's also the times where like a woman's gender or something will be used as like a flashpoint for this stuff, like completely against their will, especially when it comes to like younger people, right? Like you know, like little white girls or something, they're not any more special or like more valuable than any other like child's human life or something. But when something bad does happen to like, oh, like a privileged like suburban little 8-year-old white girl or something, it becomes like a big sensational topic. Oh, this needs to be everywhere, splattered on evening news. This needs to be like it's time for a national discussion about this like fucked up criminal who did like a bad thing or something. And meanwhile, you know, like in like less well off communities around the country, both in like white poor communities, as well as, you know, in like inner city, like black or Hispanic or whatever communities, it doesn't matter. Like the kids in those communities, when something bad happens to them, it's like, well, it's the parents' fault, they shouldn't have been so fucking uneducated and poor, fuck them or whatever. It's like, it's not even a topic on the evening news. So like, I don't know, it's for I guess the point I'm getting at here is, like, for all the jokes I'm making about white women here, I do think there's also kind of like this like fucked up, like paternalistic kind of sexist element to this stuff about, like, oh, we put women on this pedestal, and we'll use any bad thing that happens to them as an excuse to like brutalize people we don't like,
because they're weak and vulnerable. And this brings me back to thinking about this. The guy that I was fucking shitting on, who was in that documentary, by the way, is Dan Abrams. Call into his podcast and tell him what you think about Luigi Mangione, and listen to him like shit his fucking diaper and freak out.
Yeah, tell him Super Despair sent you. That'll go great.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. But like I'm just thinking about people like this, and it's so funny because it's exactly that. It's like they care so much about law and order and the rules when it comes to somebody shooting a fucking CEO in the back. And he's like, oh, it's so cold. Remember, he killed a man in cold blood, an innocent man, just because he didn't like him. And it's like, where were you when like I would love to hear what he had to say about like George Floyd or something like that. And it's like, if this was just like some shit like that, it's like, how much would it be not caring, and how much would it be like, well, he did have a criminal record, so
he was no angel.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite, I think it was a tweet or some shit that went something like, some white guy will murder his entire family, and then the news will use a photo like this, and it's like a stock photo of like a white guy with his family on a jet ski or something. yeah,
it's just like a big smiley, like friendly guy.
What could have went wrong?
and then they show the minority, and it's like his mugshot from when he was like arrested for having like 2 grams of weed in 1996. It's like, that's the same thing for sure.
So I'm so glad you brought up the George Floyd thing as well, because this has been like on my mind for a little bit, and I was gonna bring it up earlier in the episode, but this is another big thought that I've been having, which is when we look at the way, like, especially like conservatives and right wingers think about crime in society, right? I've heard it said before that a lot of like people on the right, they don't really believe society exists. They're basically just individuals, and some people are good people and other people are bad people. And I think a lot of the reaction you see to the police killing of George Floyd when that happened was like, yeah, because conservatives don't have like a sociological explanation for like why crime happens, or like why this whole thing is fucked up. I think they saw like the protest that resulted as part of that, as a reaction to that, and just thought, wow, I can't believe millions of people are just coming around to do all this fucked up protest and rioting and stuff just for one guy. That really speaks to their moral character or something. And like, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's fucked up that George Floyd was killed, but like, you see a lot of the conversation around it as people being like, why do so many people care about this guy? He was just like a fentanyl dealing like crack loser or some shit like that. And it's like, no, it's not just about one guy. It was like a flashpoint for like people to protest more broadly about the role of police in society. And like, I just see, you know, that's the element that's missing from a lot of the people that I see commenting on this sort of content on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Rodney King. It's the same thing. They weren't like just pissed off about Rodney King. He was a visual example on the news of like shit that people are like in that area saw every day, and they were just like, fuck this shit. Let's, obviously these systems around us don't give a shit about us. So why should we give a fuck about law and order if they're not here to protect us? If they just like do whatever they want and get off, we should do whatever we want. Then let's fucking riot. Let's fuck some shit up.
Yeah. To paraphrase that, I was watching a long time ago. I think it was a Channel 5 video, and guys, don't get it twisted. We disavow. Andrew is not a good guy. I wished only the best for all those women. But back before we knew these things, I was watching a Channel 5 video. I think it was about the BLM protests and riots a couple years ago, and he gave the mic over to this black woman, and it was something about like. Why are people doing this to their own communities? And this woman explained, like, this isn't our community. We don't fucking own anything. We don't own the fucking Walmart here. So like, yeah, if everything is just like this big fucking like company property or like owned by the state, and like we don't own anything and have no say over this stuff or the community or like our own lives or like anything going on, then yeah, fuck it. We're gonna take a night out to take something for ourselves, which, I think perfectly fucking justified. I don't give a single fuck if like Best Buy loses a couple Xboxes or new TVs or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, when people feel alienated from the shit around them, and you really expect them to care, this is like it's such a weird thing for these isolated cul-de-sac liberal types, and these just like, and then just like the chuds to be like, how could they do this to the local Target? And it's like, why do you have affinity for these things? They're just like so separated from, like, if we had actual communities, people wouldn't be fucking them up. They would care about them. And it's just like, wow, what a surprise. Like, when you just completely alienate people from all the shit around them, they just go fucking nutty. And just like and just tear it all down. It's kind of like, like when you see like a public bathroom and people just like fuck it up and just throw fucking paper towels on the ground, they'll piss on the fucking floor or whatever. They just trash a place, especially in a bar or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you think they do that to like their own house or like their best friend's house or like whatever? No, because like this is like, they care about it. This is like a place that they have an affinity for. But when it's just like some fucking whatever, just like it's just so many layers separated from that. Yeah, like just nobody fucking cares. Like,
yeah, right. I'm really reluctant to bust this out because I don't want to sound like an ill-informed weeb that's like, oh, thing in Japan, oh, soy face or whatever. But it does strike me as like a difference that like, oh, you look at like schools like out in a lot of Asian countries or something, and like at the end of class you'll have like the students actually like clean up the room and put all the chairs away or whatever. Where like where I went to school, it's like that. No, we didn't do that shit. That's the janitor's job. And like we were trained to see the janitor as like, oh, you don't want to work that for a living, do you? You feel bad for that guy. Look at this guy, the fucking loser that keeps the building clean so that we can go there every day. And it's like, I don't know. I saw like back when I was a psych major in college, there was like a study about like the cleanliness of neighborhoods or something, and it was like, yeah, if you have a neighborhood where like people pick up their trash or something and everything's like well kept and maintained and the infrastructure is taken care of, if the place is already clean, people are generally going to keep it clean. They're going to throw their trash out in the fucking garbage bins or something. But if you have a neighborhood where it's like, okay, there's no fucking investment here, people don't get the assistance that they need from the state and from their neighbors, and nobody feels like they own anything, they're all completely alienated or whatever, yeah, the place is going to become like a messy, trashy heap, and like people aren't going to feel bad about like throwing away some litter or something. It's like, well, the place is already dirty, so like what's one more like beer can or some shit,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously there are a lot of exceptions to what I'm about to say, but it's like, it's a difference of like, if you live in a house with a few roommates and like everybody keeps their shit fucking, they do their own dishes, they keep everything fucking cleaned up and shit like that. you're going to be less likely to just be like, I don't feel like doing the dishes, just throw your shit in there and leave the fucking stove and countertop all fucked up, and then just like, and then just go like lie and rot in your room. Whereas if you live in a place where everybody's just a fucking slob and that just the whole place is trash, it's like, well, why am I going to do my dishes? Why would I clean up the fucking counter? Why would I do this? Everybody's a fucking piece of shit. So like, we'll just like add to the mess and just like, you know, fuck it, like whatever, nobody cares, so why should I care? Like fuck this place. So like, yeah, you can like, that's just a little microcosm of the greater idea of just like, hey man, maybe we should all just like give a little bit of a fuck. And I know it's not cool to give a fuck about anything now, because it's just way easier to be a real checked out epic cool person.
Yeah, no, you see, not giving a fuck is based and caring about things. That's cringe. You don't want to be cringe, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, having hobbies is cringe. Just do nothing. That's yeah. Caring is cringe. Always has been. Always will be. Maybe stop caring about anything.
Yeah, I don't know. There was one last little segment that I was gonna pack into this episode. Speaking of all the true crime content on the internet, I wanted to wrap up talking about the pedophile catchers, but I feel like I've got a lot to say about that stuff, and it's like, how are we doing on time? Do we wanna pack that into this episode, or do we want to save it for like?
I mean, we can fucking tease it at least, but I mean, on that, I mean, we've like, everybody knows about like Catch a Predator, right? Everybody memes about it. It's a real funny and epic show where they like bait, you know, fucking weird creepy dudes, and you know, they like catfish them, and then they invite them into a place, and it's like, I don't know, like what is the function of this show? Because I think they kind of try to say it's one thing, but it's really another thing. Kind of like how like these media exposés about murderers and rapists are supposed to be like, oh, we're bringing you the facts, but it's like, no, this is like provocative murder porn for suburbanites to like drink wine and eat popcorn too, because it's entertaining. And then they can pearl clutch about it and say how bad they feel about, you know, what happened to this little girl or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've thought. I think I'm gonna get most of my thoughts out with whatever time we have left. I don't care if it goes a bit long. This is a meaty subject to bite into. So I gotta say, first off, you know, I think a lot of this stuff is really bad and not good, and for the most part I've seen a bunch of different YouTube channels that do this thing, and I'm completely convinced that none of the people running these like pedophile sting operations or whatever are like good people. I think for a wide variety of reasons, and I don't know if I'm gonna talk about one specific channel or another, but something that occurs to me about this, right, is like I often talk on this show about this idea of like everybody has this like inner darkness within them, right? I think deep down, I don't know, maybe people will take this as a self-report or something. I don't care. I think deep down a lot of people have to like acknowledge their own like capacity to like do harmful, evil things to other people, and like maybe you'll never like give into that like throughout your own life or something, or you know, for a lot of other people can be something very mundane. I know you know, since I grew up on the internet in the 90s and 2000s, I was part of like a lot of like internet forums, not 4chan or anything like that, but like, you know, I was online on internet forums, and you know, I sometimes I would say very mean things to other people. I would take part in flame wars, which feels like such a quaint, outdated term now. And like I look back at some of my big like early formative experiences on the internet, right? And I'm like, oh wow, for years of my life I was just like rewarded with praise and clout and like attention from strangers by like indulging in being like a mean fucking asshole on the internet to other like anonymous like fucking losers or whatever. So like for a lot of my life, I've had to think about this, like, okay, I think I'm pretty good at being like a mean fucking bitch to other people. I feel like, you know, I can hold my own if I'm just like trying to insult somebody or something. And, you know, I've been rewarded for that before, but I'm like, it doesn't feel good. I feel like, I don't know, I'm making myself a bit of a worse person if I like indulge this feeling too much. And maybe I do a little bit on this show, like if we're talking about like Elon Musk or some shit, because it's funny and I think it's not that harmful or whatever, but everybody has this thing in them. And when I look at this content, like, oh, people going after pedophiles, probably the number one most acceptable target of any vitriol or like harm in society at all, I'm like, yeah, maybe there is a small part of me that revels a little bit in seeing like some piece of shit like pedophile or whatever get confronted for their wrongdoing and have their like life destroyed in front of their family or something. Maybe, you know, I think we have to reckon with the fact, like, yeah, I think a lot of people kind of get off on that shit a little bit. I think people like to watch bad things happen to bad people. And this isn't me like defending pedophiles or anything, but at the same time, I'm like, surely there must be something a little fucked up about this, right? Like, do we need to do this whole song and dance? Is like the whole like public confrontation and like the whole like showmanship of it like really necessary? Or like, surely, you know, if you've gone to the trouble of collecting all these chat logs or something, like, can't you just like forward that to the proper authorities and not be like a like internet personality who's known for doing this sort of thing? I don't know. I feel like I said earlier with the whole My Favorite Murder thing, it feels like what's going on here is this kind of like unholy marriage between entertainment and the most like fucked up, depraved acts you could commit against another human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without question. And I will say to your previous point about like talking shit about like Elon Musk or something like that, I have no problem punching up. It juices me the fuck up and I feel good about it. Now, I have been like toxic in online communities like plenty before. And yeah, that is like draining, and it's I don't know, maybe it's like satisfying in the moment, but it's not like, I don't feel good about it. It doesn't make me feel fulfilled or anything like that. When we're talking about these people, these like noble internet pedophile hunters, or even just like the people who like grandstand about pedophiles on their fucking YouTube channels or something. And it's like, really, like, do these people like really, is this really like just a passionate fucking thing that they care about so much? Fuck no. They don't give a shit about pedophiles. It's a safe target to punch down to. And make them, they not only get to make themselves look like a noble hero, but they also get a safe, easy target to abuse. And that's really what this all comes down to. And then everybody who watches it can cheer as if they're seeing some terrible, disgusting lesser than get executed in the town square. And then the person who brought them to justice gets to shake their own hand and pat themselves on the back and tell themselves and everybody else what a good person they are. But where does this lead? This To Catch a Predator vigilante fucking epic style fucking cool shit. Well, not too long ago. This was in like early January, I think. There was a TikTok trend based on To Catch a Predator, the show that everybody loves so much, where basically to sum the whole news story up, a group of like college kids at in Massachusetts who are like all like 18 and 19. One of them made like a fake, I don't know, like Tinder profile or something like that. And then they got this disgusting, degenerate, active military guy who is 22 years old, this elderly fucking 22-year-old fuck. And the girl on who was catfishing said she was 18, and then like lured him into a basement, where by lured she said like probably said like, hey, you want to come over? And he was like, okay, which like anybody would do if they were talking to somebody. And then like there were like a bunch of like 30 college kids, and they beat the shit out of him while filming it and like laughed, and the dude luckily like got away. But like, okay, number one, like this is fucking gross and weird, and but like also like he's 22 and the supposed victim was 18, and even if she was 17 or said she was 17, like that's still like I think in most jurisdictions like fine.
I mean, I think it's like maybe like a little bit sketchy, but
it's
like
a little
it's not like,
but it's not
like this guy's fucking
yeah.
Satan or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's also like that. Like on To Catch a Predator, it's usually like fucking dudes in like 40s and like somebody who says they're like 13, which is like that's fucking that's pretty fucked up. But
that's
also,
open and
like,
shut. Yeah.
But also like the thing is, they're not a bunch of like anti-pedophile people. Just trying to like, you know, enact justice on an unjust world. They wanted to abuse and humiliate somebody, and this was a good way to do it. Like these people are fucking psychopaths. Like they need to be treated like just people who are fucking like they're not okay. Like they're not okay.
Yeah, this is a very big the purpose of a system is what it does kind of moment. Like, it seems like this just allows a lot of regular people to commit like violent assault on strangers in an acceptable way.
Yeah, exactly. And then like it puts any bystander in a precarious place where it's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't like just have a mob beat down of some fucking random dude. But they're like, oh, so you're like pro pedophile. You defend pedophiles. Like, so it's like, it's such a sinister framing of like just somebody's like weird like hero complex and vigilante justice fucking violence boner to do this shit and just like, I mean, I don't know. Like it sounds like some sort of demographic that really like to do hate crimes against certain types of people, and then if anybody was just like, hey, why are you beating the shit out of this 90-year-old man in the street? It's like, oh well, you're a blank lover.
Yeah, I'm
so
glad
report you.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because this kind of ties back to what I was talking about with why I wanted to define the word crime earlier in the show, is because you see this a lot with the whole like quote unquote tough on crime rhetoric, where like what does tough on crime mean? Does that mean, oh, we're gonna like do something about the fucking like robber barons that are like stripping the country apart and like tearing the copper wiring out of the walls of democracy or some shit? If I could be tough on crime, I think the authority given to Doge is illegitimate, and I think all the federal agents who are licensed to carry weapons should blow the fucking brains out of those like dipshit teenagers who go to steal everybody's public records with the full authority of the law or whatever. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to be fucking tough on crime. But no, tough on crime doesn't mean doing anything about the goons that are taking apart the country. It means let's send 17-year-olds to prison on a life sentence for like a gram of weed or some bullshit. That's what tough on crime means. And if you pose it in any way, it's like, oh, I guess you just like crime then. I guess you just want the cities to fall apart and go into complete anarchy, don't you? It's like, no, that's nobody's fucking position. Nobody wants that shit. But that's where this rhetoric takes us.
And that's a funny thing when it comes to that, when it comes to like white collar crime and political corruption, all this type of shit. These people are like, well, there's checks and balances. We need to, we all need to vote on this. There's a system that has to do. But when it comes to like, I don't know, like just kind of like street crime and fucking robberies and shit like that. It's just like, why are we wasting time in the courts with just fucking, the cops should just be able to shoot them. Like if they're doing it, like, just like, why are we just shoot all of them? And it's like, okay, like if you like I'm not totally like I can understand that mindset, but I would say the same thing of just like of just people who are like actively working to undermine the democracy of a sovereign state. Like maybe do that as well, but like no, that like, whoa no, hold on, like there are courts for this.
Yeah, it's like, it's running through my head right now. It's like, are we Fed posting at the moment? And no, I don't think we are, because like, okay, I think some of these people are openly committing fucking sedition. You know what the legal punishment for sedition on the books is? It's death. They kill you for that shit. So like, I think some people should face the legal punishment that's on the books for doing what is very clearly a crime that, I don't know, it seems open and shut to me, but like that's a whole other discussion about what is and isn't a crime at the moment.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, I mean, fucking shit or get off the pot, man. And I say that with everything. It's just like, all right, if you have one set of standards for one demographic of people and one for another, just admit that you're fucking racist and that you hate poor people. Just say, I hate X, Y, and Z. Stop being a fucking pussy who says like, oh, the rule of law in one breath and then just like kill them all in the other ones. Just fucking say what you mean, man. Just stand up and say what you're all about. Stop being a fucking coward and just go, just come out and fucking say it. Because apparently you can just do Nazi salutes right now. This is your time, baby. This is your time. Stand the fuck up. Do a Sig Heil. Fucking talk about how you hate like this group of people and the other ones, and just say how you think another group of people should be able to do whatever the fuck they want. Just stop being a fucking pussy. That's really my big frustration with it. I mean, like, fuck these people, fundamentally, obviously, of course, but I have a much less frustration with them if they just, like, said what they were about. Just say what you're about, man. That's it. And that's why they think everybody else is, like, lying and virtue signaling, posturing, is because they know that they are. At the end of the day, they know that they are about everything. Mm-hmm. And they know that they're fucking liars. They know that they're dishonest. So anybody else who like says something, they're just like, oh, what's your agenda? What's your secret agenda? It's like, I have none. I said what I had to say. You're the one just like fucking just pussyfooting around everything, because at the end of the day, all these people are fucking bitches. They are cowards, and they posture so much with this like strength and integrity and honor and shit. It's like, nah, man, I can see right through that. You're a fucking coward. You're a little bitch. And we all know it, and you know it deep down too, which is why you're just a weird fuck. At the end of the day, why you're just such a weird fucking baby bitch fuck who just can't get over his own shit, and you just have to keep on. I don't know, pushing fucking weird narratives in whatever.
I gotta say, one of the things, and there are many things, but one of the things that really distinguishes like what we do from what these like dipshit like pedo catcher YouTubers do is that, for one, we love the law. Okay, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. Unlike these fucking assholes, I firmly stand against vigilante justice. I don't think anybody listening to this show should take the law into their own hands. I don't think you should commit violence against other people. I don't think it leads to a good ending in the vast majority of cases or whatever. But that's not what goes on these shows. I know that there was one of these like pedophile hunting dipshits or whatever who at the start of a lot of his videos, there's like a disclaimer, right? Which is, we do not condone vigilante justice. We are not vigilantes. We are investigative journalists. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here with this shit, dude. Dave, are we investigative journalists? Is that what's going on this show?
No. I mean, in a very in a very charitable sense, I guess, because there is some investigation.
Maybe, but I would never call myself a journalist. There's nothing I do that like abides by journalistic standards. I'm a fucking internet funny person, and I don't pretend to be anything like better than that. And maybe I talk about like morals and politics sometimes. So I'm just some dipshit. Everything I say on the show is just my opinion. I think God help you if you get 100% of your worldview in politics from Super Despair World. I think this show is great, but like, please do not put us on that pedestal, right? But it's just super fucking disingenuous what you see going on with these guys. It's
fucking lame. They're just such fucking cowards.
There's
really.
I have two more thoughts that I want to get through, and I'll just bang them out real quick because we're already going a bit long. I know this was like a little observation. I don't know where I first heard it, but I know we were talking about this in our DMs a while ago, and this whole idea of this idea that masculinity, right, is something that's not like inherent to being a man. It's treated as something that needs to be like earned and like given to you by society after you prove yourself as a masculine person, and that it can also be like taken away if you're like humiliated or like knocked down a peg if you lose your social standing or something. And I think going back to ancient times, I know we just did a video talking about people saying bullshit about like caveman times or whatever, but you know what, a very long time ago, you could have like a tribe of people. It's like, you can prove yourself as a man if you go hunt this fucking like elephant or some shit. Like, whoa, whoop-de-doo, good for you. And like, in a lot of ways that doesn't exist these days. So I think a lot of people, especially people who are like deep down extremely like weak, insecure, like small fucking men, regardless of whatever their physical stature is, they're small people. They feel like they need to prove themselves in a way. And there's no more fucking like woolly mammoths or some shit to hunt down. So let's go after the next most acceptable target. I'm going to earn my masculinity by going after these pedophiles, and I'm going to say that I do it for the children, and I'm going to make a big spectacle of it, and everybody's going to see that in that moment on camera, standing next to me, I am different from this guy, when deep down it's like, I don't want people to think about, it turns out a lot of these guys I go after are just as conservative as I am. That's kind of weird. I don't know. It just seems like a whole bullshit like performative act right here.
Yeah, for sure. And you could see that with the same thing with all these like Save the Children, conservative weirdos that think that they're rallying against fucking trans bathrooms or whatever is like about saving children. They don't give a fuck about saving children. It's just like it's just some sort of way for them to feel, like a strong Like it all comes back to this like this like storybook brain rot good versus evil thing where like I don't know, it's like a weird hero complex with a lot of people, and they just have to like and like I mean, okay, if you have like a good versus evil hero complex, there's a lot of shit you can do to be a good guy and to fight evil. But it's
like you could be like one of the Mario brothers. They fight evil all the time.
Yeah, just become a plumber and take some fucking some hair plugs out of grandma's drain.
If you can't be as big of a hero as Mario, that's okay. You can always play as Luigi, guys. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's another alternative. That's something that you can do. But like that would require, you know, a little bit of courage, a little bit of thought. It's easier to just like, I don't know, find some sort of like weaker group. Like they're just fucking bullies, man. They're just bullies at the end of the day. And if you know anything about bullies, they're not strong, they're not tough, they're not noble. They're fucking pussies who look for somebody weaker than them to fuck with. And that's why, like, I mean, we know that if somebody stands up to a bully, even if they get their ass kicked, they usually won't get fucked with anymore, because bullies, at the end of the day, are weak little bitch cowards. And when they get pushed back on, they just find another group to fuck with. So,
and the thing about bullies is, as you're describing this here, how to fucking like work with them and appease them or whatever, a lot of this goes down into like, oh, this is good advice for how you should deal with cops, because at the end of the day, you know what a lot of school bullies grow up and become? They become cops because they can't do any other fucking thing.
I know some personally that they either were bullies or they got bullied. And it's like, well, how can I keep this going on? They either become bullies or like fucking middle managers. Because,
I don't have a big, long, extensive story about him, because I always tried to interact with this person as little as possible. But growing up, my dad had a lot of family friends. And I remember there was one friend of his who we would go to their house often, and I would hang out with this guy's like dumb kid who was like a couple years old, not older, he was a couple of years younger than me, except he had this big like village oaf energy about him. He was like 6'6" or some shit, absolutely massive fucking lad. And like, I don't think he had like a learning disability or something, but like he was clearly like dumb as a fucking brick, to the point where I was like, is something like off with this guy or whatever? And like then like 10 years happened, and like I didn't hang out with them at all. We just didn't go to their house or whatever. And then I find out, oh yeah, this giant dumb fucking oaf of a kid, I learned he works as a prison guard now. So like that kind of validates a few things about my view of the world.
yeah I mean, that makes sense. You know, like, God bless these motherfuckers. Hopefully you didn't do anything too shitty, but yeah.
The last thing I kind of want to end on is a lot of the thing. Sorry, let me start over. Something that really like sticks with me as I read the comments on the specifically the pedophile hunting videos is like, I feel like society is never actually that far removed from just bringing back the fucking like Roman Colosseum where we feed people to tigers or like lions and shit. I'm reading the logic and the defenses people give for what these guys do. It's like, well, they're taking pedophiles off the street. This person has convictions in every fucking state or whatever, some shit like that. And I'm like, okay, let's accept your logic for a second here and say that this is like a net good on society because the person being pursued is like a sufficiently evil. They're like a piece of shit pedophile or something like that. Like, why not just like, I don't know, let them be clawed apart by lions or something? Why did we decide to stop doing that to criminals? Why don't we just show that on TV, because like I feel like if we did have like a TV show where we just sent like the worst criminals in society to be like brutalized by like wild animals, or like trial by combat or some shit, I don't think the vast majority of people would be like disgusted by this. I think that kind of TV show would be like overwhelmingly popular, and I think we would think much less of our fellow human beings. But like, I don't know, maybe we should be better about this shit. Maybe like entertainment and the worst most like grievous acts you could commit against another person, maybe these should be separate things. Maybe we shouldn't let them touch. Maybe we shouldn't like spend time reveling in our dark impulse to see bad things happen to good or bad people, whatever they might have done. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, do you really want just like mob rule to come back? Do you really think you'd be saved in mob? Do you really think you'd be like the leader of the mob? Do you think you would be empowered in that moment?
If I can stop for a second, I think a lot of people unironically do, especially like in America, where some people will be like, I got 40 fucking guns to come and take them. The mob won't ever go after me. I can defend myself. I'm a hashtag proud American or some shit. I think that is how people actually think.
No, it is. And it's all like a fantasy in their head, because these people are generally the first person to like get 911 on the line because they saw like a mysterious person very close to
there's
their
a little black
ornaments.
Girl selling lemonade on the street and she doesn't have a permit or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess that maybe that's more of a liberal impulse there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, just people are like just generally kind of scared in general, kind of just scared of everything.
It's because they don't believe in society. There's just them and their family, and everybody's an individual, and there's just a malevolent cloud of evil, and it's always ready to come get you the moment you let your guard down and participate in like a broader community with other fucking human beings.
Right. Which is part of the problem with the whole like atomization of society and the idea of like the nuclear family, and this is where, you know, it's just me and mine, and then you know, maybe my extended family, and then everybody out there, like as the levels get wider and wider, it's just like
I'm even more jaded than that. I think for a lot of people it's just themselves and maybe their wife and kids as a form of property.
yeah, for sure, but I mean, it's different levels for different people, but it's really kind of how it works at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. This got a little dark. What a depressing episode, but also I think, I don't know, that's just the nature of talking about true crime content on the internet. Like I said, I'm guilty of watching a lot of this stuff, even like some of those like pedophile hunting videos where like, okay, I know the person behind this is like a reactionary chud piece of shit or whatever, but like, I don't know, something about the content in particular just has me like, why do people get off on this? What are people in the comments thinking? What does this like say? What do we even do about this? Like, how do we even argue against this? Because I don't know what a good argument against this looks like. I think most people will just like hear like, well, that person's a pedophile, so they got every bad thing coming to them, which is like, okay, maybe that's like true on some level, but at the same time, I don't want to live in a fucking world where we just resort to fucking like barbaric acts of violence by like vigilantes in the name of some ideal about like, oh, it's for the kids or whatever. We're like, you guys don't give a fuck about kids, and I know you don't give a fuck about kids because in all the videos of this shit I've seen, I haven't seen a single fucking like Catholic priest get it, so I don't know.
No, I don't actually care about like fighting against this shit in particular. I don't think it's really the point. This is a symptom of a much broader problem. It's not like this is the problem. It's like the shit that spawns this is a problem. And you could say this about a lot of stuff, but I don't think like, oh, if we just like got rid of all this fucking garbage, we'd be fine. Nah,
I'm gonna put on my bright blue lib hat and give the boring fucking NPR answer, which is I think if you want to prevent kids from being like abused and exploited, maybe we should start funding Planned Parenthood again. Maybe we should teach sex ed in schools. I feel like that seems to have the best results for the least amount of like bloody work involved in acting it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but also, like, we should have communities where, like, people are just kind of, like, looking out for each other, including the kids. Yeah. But I mean, like, a lot of these, you know, gross acts, it's not, it's not some dude driving around in a windowless van fucking scooping up kids with a big net like a fucking dog catcher from a 1950s cartoon. It's their uncle or their fucking babysitter or a family friend or some shit like that. So
or a cop or a priest or I don't know any of these.
I mean, yeah, like true. Absolutely. But
it stands out to me that no small number of the guys I've seen get busted in these pedophile hunting videos were also very big. Like, I hate pedophiles. I'm gonna hunt them down. It's like, it turns out this guy was like abusing his daughter for many years. That's crazy. I can't believe that. Yeah.
Projection is real. Projection is fucking real.
Yeah, once again, it's like I said, this whole idea of masculinity, and it's something you can lose and something you have to earn, and it's like, I guess, I don't know, the whole like, this person's is overperforming a little bit. I think it's the whole he doth protest too much. I don't know. There's no other point to make about this. I think we're kind of running out of steam a little bit. I think we've hit all our points. Let's wrap it up. I feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, it's over. Here's to our patrons who are definitely on the good side of history. They will not be hunted. They will be praised by the gods. We have 2 new patrons. We have Patty and Brina. Welcome to the motherfucking Sinister Six Sweeties clan. You will be remembered.
I make these noises as if I don't know both of you. But hey, thanks so much for subscribing. Enjoy the Bono episodes. You will see the light of heaven.
Yes, absolutely. And then we have the OGs. We got Woke Baby, Trevor Stilson, Heresy, Nilly, Weasel, Walker, Clam, Trash Bins, Nick, and Protagon. As always, thank you so much for your continued love and support. You will also be welcomed into the halls of the gods upon your death, possibly even sooner. Just keep on keeping on, my sweet babies.
Yeah, we only put out one. It was a pretty big one. We put out one bonus episode in February. Short month, I guess it just happens. We're probably gonna pump out a couple more. Look forward to them this month. Happy March, happy spring. Go do some spring cleaning. Maybe clean up your watch history. Maybe clean up your media diet a little bit. Maybe try to join me in watching less of this dumb fucking bullshit on the internet. Thanks so much. See you guys next week.
Fucking A. Good fight. Good night.